Hello, and welcome to the Working from Home webinar series from Aculon. Today we're going to be talking about how to proof your electronics. My name is Edward Hughes. I'm the CEO of Aculon, and I'm joined on this call by Mario Gattuso, who is our Senior Business Development Manager and an expert in the waterproofing space. From a logistical perspective, this webinar will be recorded. Copies will be made available to you. We'll be sending you links afterwards. And there is a question box, so please type in questions into the question box, and we'll try and address as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. We're going to have to keep this presentation moving fairly quickly because we've got quite a bit of material to get through in the next 30 minutes. But first, let me say thank you for joining us. These are difficult times, and we hope everybody is well and that they're safe. I know from my perspective, I've had the experience of going through a number of different crises over the years, whether it's the dot-com crises or the Great Recession. This one is kind of unusual. The pandemic is incredible in terms of the scope of which it's happened, the speed with which it happened, and the stakes of it. I mean, obviously the scope is, half the world is now kind of locked down and working from home, and this has happened in an incredibly rapid time frame. And obviously the stakes are much greater than just financial. There are huge health and life risks at this thing. So it is very difficult times. But what is encouraging is how everybody is adapting to this, and I think it's our ability as humans to adapt to crises that make us, successful. And adapting to working from home is something that we're all getting used to doing. I am working from my home office now. Mario's at his home office. I'm sure many of you are at your home offices. And I can say on behalf of my company, it's pretty amazing how productive people have been over the last couple of weeks in working from home. So I think that is it's a great human trait that we have the ability to adapt to these kind of situations. I know my business is a specialty chemical company and is viewed as an essential company. So if you are a customer of ours already, lab people and our production people are busy at work. They're obviously practicing good social distancing. We continue to work on projects for our customers, because we want to be there for you when we come out of this. Hopefully we'll all come out of this fairly quickly, but we want to be there for you and to help solve surface-related problems. And obviously today we're talking about waterproofing in particular. But our goal as a company is that we want to enable our customers to make better products by being innovative, fast, responsive, a developer and producer of best-in-class surface modification technologies. And if we do that, then together we will create winning products. For this webinar, the agenda is I'm going to give you a quick overview of Aculon. Some of you may be familiar with us, some of you may not be. We'll talk a bit about the need for PCB waterproofing, our line of products called the NANOPROOF series products. Mario will take you through some more information on testing. And then we've added a couple of bonus materials here because there's many of you are involved in many aspects of electronics, and there may be something that could be interesting in the bonus materials to you as well. And then we'll go through the questions. So please feel free to type questions in as you go, and we'll try to tackle as many of those as we can. So firstly, Aculon is a company that is involved in surface modification and is involved in many, many different industries. We were founded back in 2004. Our focus is really creating this expertise around modifying surfaces to provide a broad variety of surfaces that can be modified: metals, glass, polymers. We basically functionalize those surfaces, adding a number of different functionalities depending on what the requirements are, whether it's hydrophobic or super hydrophobic or oleophobic, or we do a lot of hydrophilic applications. Our treatments are always thin. They are easy to apply. We don't do anything in vacuum chambers. Often no cure, safe, non-toxic, and we offer a number of green options. We like to think that we differentiate ourselves by not only creating proprietary innovative treatments, but really a willingness to work with customers to solve problems. We find if we get close to the customer and understand what their needs are, then we have a better chance of solving it rather than just throwing something over the wall and hoping it sticks. We work in electronics, oil and gas specialty, which includes a number of medical applications. And our business model is that we produce chemistry and basically ship that. We do some lab services for people where we'll treat parts, but the vast majority of the time we are producing the chemistry and they are treating the parts in their own facilities. We have over 35 patents granted. We've worked on thousands of applications. We've invested hundreds of thousands of hours becoming surface modification experts. We now have over 100 products. Our people are smart. There are numerous chemists, PhDs, master's degrees, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. And we are a global company. We're based in San Diego, California. That's where our headquarters, our lab and manufacturing is. We have facilities and people in Shanghai, Singapore, Dallas, Amsterdam, and we have a number of distributors in Asia. The company originally started with what we call SAMP, which is self-assembled monolayer phosphonate and organometallics. And over time, we've built on a series of different chemistries and technology platforms that basically all focus on modifying surfaces. And we do that because now we've got a pretty broad variety of product groups, whether it's repellency or anti-fingerprinting or even kind of waterproofing type treatments we'll talk about today. We've created this broad variety of product groups and offer these kind of functionalities. The technology that we have, basically, we like to think is easy to apply. That's kind of one of our differentiators against vacuum deposition type applications. So they tend to be things that can be spray applied or dip applied or wipe applied or even roll-to-roll type coating. And what we'll do working with customers is tweak those formulations to optimize for them, you know, whether it's in the concentration levels or the types of solvent, the coverage ratios, and a temperature as well. So as a company, we've built a series of platforms and expertise around the core thing that we do, which is surface modification. And so you can see some of the things we're involved in. Today, we are going to be focusing on water barrier protection and electronics and talking predominantly about that. But we are involved in a pretty broad variety of applications outside of that. As I say, we've organized ourselves into 3 groups, and we're going to focus in on electronics today. So our electronics applications are quite a few. You know, today we'll focus in on NANOPROOF because that's where we're talking about electronics waterproofing, but that also serves a number of other applications. So some of the engineers on the webinar today may be interested in silver migration prevention or an underfill repellent dam or even connector coatings. And then we have a number of other things that are in the electronics world that we do. Let's talk about waterproofing. So waterproofing obviously is a big deal, and we all know that in the real world, devices get damaged, whether it's automotive or appliances or handheld electronics, or even medical devices get damaged by exposure to water. And people are looking to solve that problem. You know, one well-known marketplace obviously is the smartphone marketplace. And pre-coronavirus, the projection for 2020 was about 1.7 billion smartphones would be shipped, right? A huge marketplace. But interestingly, more than 900,000 smartphones per day, according to IDC, are damaged by liquids. So a lot of problems that need to kind of get addressed. So we've developed a series of products that we call the NANOPROOF series. And they utilize proprietary technology. They utilize application equipment that's affordable, readily available, and they range in terms of their performance depending on what the needs of the customer are. So we always like to start by trying to understand what it is the customer is looking for, because not everybody needs basically the capability of a IPX level 8, which is essentially, you know, continual submersion in water. We do a lot with video doorbells and other types of applications that are, you know, fixtured onto a house that obviously you're not planning on that getting fully submerged. So we like to try and understand which IPX level does the customer want to have. Is it IPX force, so splashing water from any angle? So from there we can look at, okay, what is the right solution for you and make it as easy to apply as possible. And we've been in this marketplace for about 8 years now. So we started back in 2012 with what we call the 1 series, and we've developed a number of products since then. And what's interesting about that is obviously the performance has gone up over time as we've learned more about how to do this. And this is a complex area. It's not an easy thing to do, but we've developed quite a bit of expertise. We've also developed some features and functionalities that are kind of important to people. Some of our products have push-through connectivity, which allows you to make the connection from the board to the screen after the connector has actually been sprayed. So that's interesting for some people. Some people are more recently are looking at flexible circuitry, and so they want to have the ability to bend that circuit, and so our treatments need to be flexible and bent with that as well, and so some of the new ones do that. And recently also we're seeing more of a push for kind of green VOC exempt type treatments, and so some of these treatments do that. So we're offering a variety of different solutions, as you can see by this table here, that give you a variety of IPX levels. So again, depending on what type of application you have, you can basically select the right treatment, or we'll help select the right treatment for you. So when we work with customers, we like to basically understand their needs, and then we find the right treatment. We don't expect you to kind of understand our product range as well as we do, but rather we'll help you select the right treatment. All our products have inline, capabilities. They are not batch production type applications. All of them are non-toxic, which obviously is important in many facilities. If you're looking for push-through connectivity, some of these do that. If you are looking for flexible, some of these will do that. And then if you're looking for green VOC exempt, some of these will do that. So we'll work with you on the selection of which treatment makes the most sense for you. Obviously, what we're trying to do here is basically reduce, the product returns, due to water damage. We are trying to. One of the benefits of our technology is that it allows rework. So if there are issues in the facility, related to the coating or the technology, the application, then you can rework these, which you can't do with many conformal coatings. In many cases, they need minimal or no masking at all. And as I say, the coatings can be used in factory environments, and they're affordable. So the application process will depend a little bit on which treatment is selected. And in some cases, the customer will say, I need it to be a spray application. So we will obviously work to select the right treatment for that. But in other cases, they'll say, we're flexible on this. We may even want to do as simple as dip. We don't have a high volume manufacturing requirement, so we want to have low capital costs on this. So can you give us something that is a dip applied type application? So we'll work with you on that. We work with, certainly in North America and around the world, companies like PVA and Nordson. They produce much of this equipment, so we can go from as simple as you see on the left-hand side, this manual dispensing handheld gun, to batch automation or inline automation, have conveyor belts, to the system on the right-hand side that obviously has a high volume manufacturing. The nanoproof materials all basically carry a UV tracer in there, so they can be inspected to make sure that they are, get to use the quality that you want to have. And finally, for me, we have written a white paper which we'll send you a link to to after this webinar, that you can read more if you're so inclined. It gives you a little bit more detail, or I should say a lot more detail, on some of the thinking and some of the testing that we do. So with that, let me turn this over to Mario, and he can talk a little bit about some of the IPX type testing and how we get the results that we get. Mario.
Thank you, Edward. That was an excellent introduction to or overview of the NANOPROOF product line. So of course, I'm sure all of you are wondering, well, how do you prove the performance of NANOCLEAR? So we utilize an industry standard IPC multi-purpose test board. And again, this is going to be a quick overview of what's contained within the white paper that we'll be sending out. So we utilize this multi-purpose IPC test board, and it's a great quick functional test of the performance of our coatings. So essentially, the test comb pattern is coated and it is submerged under voltage in water. And you can see that there is visually on the test board, you can observe corrosion on this uncoated board, which, rapidly fails. And you can see that there's current leakage in the measurements. So when we test a coated board, you can see that pre and post testing, the comb pattern still looks new and unexposed to the damaging effects of water while under current. And then you can also see measuring the current leakage over time with both the 7 and the 8.4, they stay far, far below the 500 nanoamp threshold. So this is a quick and dirty way to test the efficacy of these coatings. And then here we will share these slides. You can see some of the additional data that was used to generate the plots in the previous charts. So in addition, what we had done is to compare to conformal coatings, which we know are typically failing IPX7, IPX testing. We compared these coatings on the IPC test board and then found that they tested well on the IPC test board as well, on the IPC test boards as well. So you can see here that the nanoproof coatings, in addition to traditional conformal coatings, all stay below the 500 nanoampere failure thresholds. While we know in a real world example, the conformal coatings are by no means up to IPX7, IPX8 levels. So that meant we had to move on to a different test that would show a real world example. And in the real world, your components are not flat. They have, multiple components, multiple chips of 3 dimensions. And when the coatings are put down on them, what will happen is the coating slumps. And so the flat areas will be protected, but the edges and the corners and exposed areas will fail. So you might have a thick enough protective layer to protect a flat area, but if the corner is exposed, you're going to see failures. So here you can see exactly that. We utilized an LED, 3-dimensional LED, and we immersed it under power, and you can see that there's significant corrosion, and the LEDs failed and stopped functioning. And this is in the same salt water as the IPC test boards. So we then took a polyurethane and an acrylic, and we tested these LEDs, exposed them in water, and while they passed the traditional IPC test board, which would indicate that they would give you good performance, they didn't give you the thickness required on the edges of these components. So it's not a real world IPX7 product. And you can see the exact same thing here with the traditional acrylic conformal coating. Again, they slumped down, they only coated the top of the component and then slumped down into the flat areas, left the edges unprotected, and you get a failure. Alternatively, with the tricks that we've utilized in our nanoproof, more advanced nanoproof coatings, such as nanoproof 7, 8 series, 2 series, and 12 series, we've specifically developed them so that they actually do conform to the sharp angles. So not only do you get protection on a flat IPC board, but you also get protection on your real world 3-dimensional components. Again, these are similar results with the 8 series coating. This is tested at 18 and 50 volts. The coatings coat the sharp angles, so you get, not only do you get the IPC board performance, you get real world performance on 3-dimensional parts.
Great, thanks, Mario. That's yeah, that a lot of work has gone into that testing, and obviously, we can do that to screen materials, and then obviously all these, chemistries are now in full production and being used elsewhere. Let me cover quickly a couple of bonus materials before we get to the the questions. So one of the things we've developed over the last couple of years is a series of products for anti-fingerprint, whether it's on computers, whether it's on appliances or packaging. A lot of people are struggling with trying to keep their surfaces as clean as possible. And so we've developed these AFP treatments basically for two things. One is hiding power, as you can see from the image here. And untreated, the fingerprint is much more visible, whereas obviously the Aculon AFP treatment on the left-hand side, it basically reduces the visibility of that fingerprint. We are not able to fully eliminate that fingerprint because it's a very challenging problem, but we can make a significant improvements on hiding the oil of that. And these treatments are durable and they offer some great easy clean properties, so that if you are do have a appliance or a laptop that basically is getting all mucked up by fingerprints, then one, we can help reduce that visibility, and second, it becomes a lot easier to wipe clean. So some pretty interesting technology on that. Some of you may know us for our work in the stencil marketplace. We are kind of the leader in this marketplace. We've got a product called NANOCLEAR. That's an extremely thin flux repellent film that goes on the underside of the stencil. It's been out in the marketplace for about 7 years. It improves quality, it improves productivity, it reduces costs. Lots of great case studies, media coverage on this particular product over the years, and it's very well documented that basically, it's cheap, it's easy to apply, and it works every time. So if you or your colleagues are having printing problems in the SMT, we would certainly recommend that. It's been a #1 kind of position for quite some time, and it's a very easy thing to apply. Some people ask us a little bit about, as a specialty chemical company, sustainability positioning, and that's important to us. It's important to a lot of our customers as well. So we want to help our customers have, help their sustainability goals as well. And we do that for a variety of different things, whether some of our treatments are VOC exempt, PFOA free, eco-friendly packaging, with our transportation methodologies, and making sure from a sustainable standpoint we're good custodians of energy. So let me wrap this up and dive into some questions. So, we are a platform technology company that makes customers' products better. That's what we do. We work with people to solve their issues. We like to think of ourselves as surface solution experts. And as I say, if we work with customers and they've got a good team on their side to help solve the problem, then, we have a lot of success. And in doing so, we've created a broad portfolio of products, including obviously a number of sustainable options that are increasingly growing in our portfolio. And we've developed a bunch of IP and testing capabilities in-house. So with that, let me pull up the question box and see what we got. Okay. All right, so read this one. Does push-through connectivity get affected by the amount of material applied when applied on the mating end of a connector to make it waterproof? Mary, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I'll handle that one. So yeah, so push-through connectivity is definitely something that's done on a case-by-case or is very application-specific. So depending on the type of connector and the specific coating that we're utilizing, we will work directly with you to identify not only how thick or how much material can be put down on the connector to still achieve push-through connectivity, but also how specifically to apply it to that part. So it is absolutely something to keep in mind, and we expect to need to dial that in. We will work with you to dial that in today.
Okay. All right. Please kindly upload a handout on this topic if possible. Yes, we'll send out the to the people obviously who are able to attend this call, and the people who had registered who couldn't attend the call will send out links to the presentation and to the white paper and to the recording as well. All right. Do you provide coatings compatible with decoration and aesthetic parts? Mario?
Yes, I would want to have some more information on the specifics there, but our coatings are compatible with most any substrate or material, so it should not be an issue.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure the intent of the question, but if it is, most of our treatments are at the nanoscale. The waterproof barriers are thicker than that, so if you are worried about, obviously, the look of a stainless steel or something like that, then ours are, they are basically 2 to 4 nanometers, and they are invisible to the human eye, so they have no impact on the aesthetics of that. Okay.
Yeah. To add further to that, for the individual that asked that question, if you want to follow up with specifics after we send out the webinar follow-up, I'll be happy to answer your questions more specifically on an individual basis.
Okay, next one's for you, Mario. Is NANOPROOF compatible with no clean flux residues? Is assembly cleaning prior to coating required or recommended?
So yes, so cleaning and removal of no clean flux is certainly recommended. We do have customers who have tested and have confirmed that they get the performance that they like without removing the no clean flux. But in general, as a best practice, the flux and contaminants should be removed beforehand in order to optimize the adhesion and the performance of the waterproofing barrier. But again, if it's preferred not to and the testing meets your requirements, then on a case-by-case basis, you can consider leaving it there.
Okay, next question. Would NANOPROOF 8, or presumably some others, be able to make a cable like a USB-C cable, for example, completely waterproof when plugged in and out? The movement would not remove the coating, question mark.
That unfortunately would not be an excellent fit. So the push-through connectivity is really intended for a one-time use connection. So something where you're taking a flex cable to attach a daughter to a motherboard on the interior of a package. It's not intended for repeated connection and disconnection, as the action of pushing through the coating actually does push it aside. And on the first connection, they do seal together, but after repeated connections and disconnections, you're likely going to have an area of exposure. So it's not recommended for an application such as a C cable.
Okay. Next is, do you think any of your highest performing waterproofing coatings could stop corrosion in salt water of outboard motors, boat trailers, and marine components?
That's certainly possible. That's certainly a very aggressive environment. We'd have to look at if you're talking about a circuit board itself, then definitely it can help with that. If you're talking about the wires that are connected on an outboard motor, I think we'd have to take that on a case-by-case basis to look at that application. But for circuit boards utilized in marine environments, I think it's a good fit.
Okay. Next one's not related to waterproofing, but what is the application temperature of oilophobic coating? Could it be used on an alloy steel up to 200 degrees C?
So yes. So we have technologies for coating metal that are stable. Most all are stable to 200 C, and we have several that are stable far beyond 200 C, depending on the specific technology that's utilized. So that's not an issue.
Okay, so that person should obviously send us an email. We get a little more details. Next one is, what is the durability of a treated surface before it can be retreated? So obviously that depends on a number of things. It depends on What type of treatment? If in some cases like metal treatments, etc., they are designed to be durable and long-lasting, tens of thousands of cycles. Other things like some of the waterproof type treatments are not designed for physical abrasion. You wouldn't imagine that you'd be going in and abrading a printed circuit board. So we need to know more about the specific application, but we have a number of treatments that are designed for, to be long-lasting and very durable. Okay. Next one, can nanoproof coatings be applied to a wide range of substrates? The answer is yes. Obviously, on a printed circuit board, there are a lot of different components, metals and polymers and glass and other things on there. So it's designed to go across and treat all of those. Next one's about durability of a nano coating. Again, that depends on which treatment we're talking about. We have some that are designed for longevity and some that are designed for basically delicate, sensitive components. Next one, how does UV exposure affect nanoproof coatings? Mario?
So UV exposure is not necessarily going to damage nanoproof coatings, but typically we're recommending that the nanoproof coatings are usually contained within a package of some sort. They're in order for, due to abrasion concerns. But for UV is not a concern.
Okay. All right, next one's for you, Mario. What is the coating thicknesses that were used for the IPC test boards for 7 and 8.4? And a follow-on question, and is the corrosion test a 5% salt solution?
The corrosion test is a 5% salt solution using a salt solution for aquarium, for marine aquarium tanks, easily sourced at a pet store or online. And the coating for those tests, those were coated in the range of 25 to 35 microns thick.
Okay, and the next one from the person from before, which is, what is the durability of the nano coating on home appliance applications? So again, there's a variety of things that we can do on home appliances. So looking at the stainless steel, we can do easy clean treatments on that are very durable. If you're looking at anti-fingerprinting, they are very durable. They're designed to be durable. If you're looking at waterproofing within the electronics of that, those are, again, it's a sensitive componentry, so it's not designed to see physical abrasion, but obviously it's designed to last a long time. So hopefully I've been able to address that. The question there, and those are the questions we got. So I know we're a little bit over on time. We very much appreciate everybody's time. I know that many of you are working from home and keeping busy, and so please stay safe, stay apart, stay strong, and hopefully we'll get through this. And if we can help make your products better, we want to do that. That's kind of why we're putting on these things, so we can when we come out of this crisis, then hopefully we can do great things together. So with that, we will end the webinar. We'll send out a link with all the links to the presentation, to the recording, and we wish you a safe and happy rest of the day. Thank you.